Welcome to the second of our summer series, Qigong for a Healthy Spine. Let's get started after our traditional salute with the 3 Qi awakening exercises. First one, inhaling, reaching up to the sky. Exhaling down to the lower belly, your center of power. Again, inhale, connecting with the sky and a sense of expansiveness. Exhale like you are drawing that expansiveness in to vitalize your body. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Then connecting with the earth like you had roots. You inhale, pull the strength of the earth into your body. Exhale like it consolidates again down in that lower belly. Inhale, strong as a mountain. Exhale, consolidating that into your center of gravity for a sense of power. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Then the third one, opening the heart. We inhale, heaven and earth meet at the heart, pause the breath, and then expand like you're radiating compassion out from your heart. Again, inhale, heaven and earth meet at the heart. You pause the breath, and then exhale, radiate out and open. And one more time, inhale, and exhale. Then we're going to get right into our ringing the temple gong. In this one, I'm in slightly wide stance, and I'm starting out with my heels rooted. So this is a horse stance for the strength of the legs, and you're just letting your upper body swing. If you want to see some variations on this exercise, watch the last video where we do a number of different variations that might be easier or more fun for you. But in this one, I'm adding a little sense of strength. So keeping the knees slightly bent, the legs are a little wider than normal, and the twist is coming from the abdomen. This is your twist for this stretch sequence. Now I'm raising the heels, and this can be nicer if that last one bugged your knees. You just let the heel turn, and for some of us, this will let our body get even more of a twist. This is waking up those abdominal muscles so that you have a flexible torso. And the spine has really easy movement. Now I'm going down a little bit with my knee. This is kind of a kung fu motion, and I'm getting the best of both worlds. I'm getting that bigger twist with no stress on my knees, but a little strengthening in my legs. Okay, we let that come to a pause. And now we're going to do this pulsing exercise for the lower abdomen. So I inhale when my hands come back toward my chest, and I exhale when they push back. This is a bellows breathing. So it's a sharp inhale, and what you want is for your belly to be moving in and out. So when you exhale, the belly button presses toward the spine, and when you inhale, the whole big belly inflates. I'll model the breathing a couple times here for you. So that's inhale, hands come back. Exhale when they push to the back, and your belly inflates on the inhale and deflates on the exhale. And this is also helping to strengthen and tone the deep abdominal muscle called your transverse abdominis. As well as in Qigong, they say this strengthens that lower belly center, which is your center of power. We're using this as a warm-up. It's going to get your lymph flowing, your blood circulating, and your tissues warm for the other stretches that we'll do. Keep that bellows breathing up unless it's uncomfortable for you. And then we release the hands down gently. Pulling down heavens, inhale, and then let it out with a sigh. Now we're going to do a fun exercise called Silver Fox Bathes at the Moon. I put an extra little clip of where my feet are here because your front foot is, the heel is off the ground. The back foot is rooted, and we're just first going to swing, so all the weight is in the back leg, and your arms are going to be as loose as they can. This is another one to pump the lymph and to start to get some strength in the legs, which according to Chinese medicine is responsible for the strength of your back. Now the exercise proper. So you're going to lean forward, the back heel comes up, and you exhale into this forward stretch. Then you're going to inhale and you shift the weight. So now the front heel comes up and all the weight's on the back, and you lean back. But this is not a back bend. You want your butt tucked under, and this is an ab exercise. So let's try it again. The back heel up, exhale. And then you shift back the front heel up, tuck your butt under. And instead of leaning back, you kind of sit down like you were catching a big pillow falling from the sky or something. So exhale over that front leg. The front leg is straight if you can for a hamstring stretch. And then you inhale up and you exhale and sink down, tucking the butt under. You should feel work in your abdominal muscles. And we're going to do this swaying once again. The front heel is up. All the weight is on the back leg. This just helps to loosen you up if you got tense during that last exercise. Then switching sides, we're going to again start with the bounce. So front heel is up, all the weight on the back leg, called a cat stance in traditional Qigong, because it's like a cat testing the ground. And you're just bouncing, the arms are loose, and they're just going to swing and sway. We're in the warm-up section of our session today. Then coming to pause, and we'll do silver fox, bays at the moon. So all the weight on the front leg, back heel up, and you stretch. Then roll it up, shift the front heel comes up, all the weight on the back, tuck the butt under and sink. So it's not a back bend. One teacher used to call these Taoist sit-ups because it's actually a core training. So you want to lift the front heel, tuck the butt, and sink. It's okay if it takes you a few repetitions of this video to really feel like you've got this exercise. It's an interesting one. One more time, the weight shifts back, the front heel comes up, tuck the butt under, sink down. The abs are working, then you come up and you bounce. Bouncing it out. The front heel is up in that cat stance, and the back leg is doing all the work. This is going to pump the blood and lymph and help just to loosen you up. Then coming into star pose, bringing your ankles out under your wrists, and we're going to create the root lock by drawing up with the legs, squeezing the muscles toward the bones, and then you're going to rotate your inner thigh back, and then rotate your butt under, just like we did in that last exercise. And you should feel like your legs are like straws, pulling up and strengthening this lower abdomen area. It's a little bit of work on your leg muscles and on your core musculature. Good. Then moving into our standing stretches for the day. The first one is for your psoas. So you're going to be in a lunge. And you want that same thing. If you want, you can spiral, but make sure to tuck under that butt. And this is what's going to aim this stretch at your psoas. My stretch wasn't long enough, so I squiggled my leg back. And as you can see, this is also possible in a chair. So now keeping your low back long, we're not going to crunch the lower back, but I'm going to lift my heart up. And I'm going to stay in that deep lunge. And if you're doing it right, you should feel this right in the front of your hip. That's my right hip that's back. So I'm feeling that in my right hip. Now the hand positions, they can be on the back. This is a slightly more advanced one with the fingers pointing up. And you can stretch the chest in this position as well by pulling the elbows back toward each other. But you want to keep your butt down. That's what keeps the stretch in the psoas. Finishing that one up, you're going to bring that back leg up a little bit. And now with a straight front leg, you're going to fold over that front leg to stretch your hamstrings. In this case, you actually want your butt sticking up a little bit. That's what's going to get it into the hamstrings instead of your lower back. If that's hard, use a chair, just like I'm showing in the little picture-in-picture. And lift that tailbone or those sit bones up into the air, kind of like you're shining your butt upward and backward in space, and you'll feel that. Aim this right into those hamstring muscles that we're trying to target. Let your head hang if you can, and then when it's time to come up, you can come up with the strength of your back muscles, or you can stack yourself up either on the chair or on your own leg. Just don't press on your knee. Then we're going to turn to the other side. It's time for Psoas Stretch. Find yourself in your stretch. Squeeze those thigh muscles into their bones, pull up, and then tuck the butt under. Firm the abs a little bit and keep a long, low back. Here's your basic hand position with fingers down. Having the hands there will help you know whether your back is lengthening or whether you're crunching it. Then if you want more advanced, you can try to turn those fingers up. And in either of these cases, you could be working to bring those elbows back. This is going to open the chest, which is one of the places that contributes to lower back pain, is actually if you are hunched over in your chest too often. Working that back heel back in space, but keeping the tailbone tucked under. See if you can feel that right in the front of that hip. That's my left hip in this case. Then moving into your forward bend, you can step up a little bit. I highly recommend that. Some people can do this in a longer stance, but a shorter stance is easier. And then with a straight front leg, you're going to forward fold or fold onto the chair. You can do this on a table if you like. Some people, they just lay their whole torso on the table so it stays horizontal. So a lot of options. And you want your tailbone lifting and sort of pushing back in space. That front hip, in this case it's my right hip, actually wants to draw back a bit, and it'll really target and aim into those hamstring muscles. Hamstrings can pull your sacrum down and cause strain on your lower back. So we're loosening them up, keeping those strong legs, keeping the feeling of energy coming up. Then walking your way back up. And finish. Then we're going to do the trembling horse. So take your horse stance, let your arms loose, inhale up the arms, and exhale, shake down the body. Inhale, exhale. And one more time, and exhale down. Just loosening up and resetting the energy of the body. Then we are going to go into a quad stretch. The quads can pull on the front of the pelvis, and so you want them to be nice and loose. We're also working on balance here. And then if you can stretch the quad like that, you can also kind of sort of kick the leg back up into the sky toward the back of your head. But again, you want to keep that low back long. You don't want to be crunching your low back because we're trying to stretch those hip flexors and that psoas, and that means you have to keep the tailbone tucked down. Let's go over to the other side. So obviously you can use a chair or anything else that you can hang on to keep your balance. And if it's hard to grab that foot, you can use a strap. I'm using a scarf here just to grab that foot. And the nice thing is, if you're a more advanced yogi, you can also use that scarf to do more advanced versions of the pose than you might be able to do on your own. But don't try to learn those from this video. Make sure you work with your yoga teacher. Make sure you don't hurt yourself. For now, we're just stretching the front of that hip, giving our quads a little stretch. So all these muscles determine the position of our pelvis, which is going to determine how our lower back and our core feel. Then we're moving into the pigeon pose for your glutes. Now this is a standing pigeon pose because I wanted to make a Qigong set that you could do without having to go down to the floor and do floor stretches. But it's actually easier in a chair. So the chair is pictured here as well. And this is to stretch your glute muscle. Your big glute muscles are also a big player in the condition of your lower back. Switching to the other side. They can pull your pelvis down and give you a sort of a posterior pelvic tilt. And so if we can loosen those glute muscles up a little bit, they won't be too tight and they won't be pulling us into a position that causes pain. Obviously, this will help to work on balance and strength in your legs as well. For this set, I'm considering those side benefits. And the main thing we want is this stretch in the gluteal muscles, big butt muscles. Come on up. And then we'll just take a breath here. Notice the effect of those exercises. Let yourself settle back in. Then bring your feet closer together, about a fist distance apart, or even together is fine. And we're going to take our side bends by clasping the arms above the head. And pull up on those legs again and tuck the butt under like we did before for a firm core. And then you're just going to lean over to one side. And this is this very interesting thing that yogic exercises can do, that you're going to be using these core muscles and stretching them at the same time which gives you a type of functional flexibility that some other forms of exercise won't give you. Going to the other side, so you have this feeling of pulling up through the legs, strong legs, tailbone tucked under the core is active, and then you're stretching to the sides. This will help to release abdominal and lower back muscles that can cause pain, as well as strengthen them at the same time. Exhaling through the mouth, and just let yourself come on down. Then we're going to take some standing stretches, and this is a back bend heavy workout because most of us feel like we're too tight in the back, but we're actually too long in the back. The muscles have grown weak, and the muscles in the front are shortening us. So we're going to take this back bend. The important thing is to pull up again through those legs. The lower abdomen is firm. Hands can be on the back in any of those positions as before, and I call this Mermaid pose, sort of like the cover of that Disney movie, I think. And you just want to lift that heart up. So we're not leaning back, we're lifting up. And you want the idea that this is going to create more space between your vertebrae, between the bones of your spine, and it's going to give it a little bit of that back bend, but mostly we're stretching the front body, Now your last variation, if those were comfortable for you, is you're going to be clasping the hands behind. Feel free to do any previous variation, but here make sure those legs are engaged, the lower abdomen is engaged, and then lifting that heart. And those arms, you want to try to relax them backward in space, if that makes sense. And even your head relaxes back without tossing your chin up into the air, which can crunch your neck, but just feel as if your head and your arms are sort of relaxing back as your heart lifts straight up toward the sky. Then let the lift bring you up and out of the stretch, and we're gently going to stretch forward. You can see I really liked the chair variation here, even though that chair is just a slightly too high on the back for this for me. But we want this to be a gentle forward bend. My yoga teachers taught me, don't go straight from your back bends right into your biggest forward bend. So think of this instead like a decompression for your spine. We've just been doing all of this work. Give yourself a moment to decompress, and then we'll stack ourselves back up in a way that feels safe and comfortable. For our last series here, we're going to get again into that horse stance, which is this wide stance, knees the width of the outside of your shoulders. And we're going to start just with a basic spinal rotation. You're not supposed to be working too hard here. It's just loosening up. We go about 3 times one way and then 3 times the other way. And then a slightly more advanced variation is you can take this posture like you're holding a ball, and we'll do the same thing of taking that ball around and around. This is related to the bear in some systems of Qigong. So if you like, you can think of yourself as a lazy old bear waking up from hibernation, doing your stretch. There's no particular breathing you need to do with this one. Although if you like, you can inhale on the way up and exhale on the way down. This is one of the classical patterns. And you want to do this in a way that makes your spine comfortable. So if this variation is too difficult for some reason, there are a lot of reasons that could be, just do the previous one, which is a little gentler. Now the most advanced one is going to be stretching down toward your feet, and then you do this kung fu move and you lean back. So this is an advanced exercise put here, snuck into this intermediate video. And so feel free to do this one if you like, or skip this one, or do one of the previous ones. But as an old friend of mine and I realized when we were studying this as a martial arts exercise, it actually works your abs in this very interesting way. So don't push past discomfort in this one. Try it out. See how you feel, because you may be surprised how much of an ab workout it does. Okay, letting the hands float down on the cloud to finish. Then bringing the stance in, take just a moment of mindfulness practice. Notice how these exercises have affected you. Let yourself reset. We'll move into a cultivating exercise. You're going to inhale and reach out with your hand. Imagine you're gathering energy from the universe, and you exhale, you bring it in like you're forming a reservoir of power in that lower belly. So it inhales and reaches out. Exhale and gather. Like this tummy center is where the power of your body is centered. So you inhale, you send your imagination out. You exhale like energy or light or blessings are flowing in. Inhale, expanding the mind and the imagination. And exhale. If all that imagining is too much, you can also just do this with the breath, inhaling to reach out, exhaling to come in. And this will serve as a relaxation training. Also very important in addressing back pain or a healthy spine, because some degree of that pain sometimes is actually coming from tension, mental tension that's showing up physically. So if we can train the mind to relax through smooth movement and smooth breathing, we can often experience a lot of relief. Inhaling, expanding the mind. Exhaling to gather. Feel as if this part of the body gets stronger and stronger. Then we're going to stay here in this standing meditation posture. And again, you could just hold this posture. It has acupressure style benefits. But if you like the imagination, you can imagine that your hands are emitting like this healing force, like the whole universe is trying to flow through your hands, and it's shining in to this whole lower area of your body. And just imagine that energy goes in and heals and supports and nourishes whatever needs it. Then finishing up, bringing the hands in, placing them on the body. And we'll do gathering earth and heaven. That's your inhale. On the exhale, you smooth down the center. And like you're tying a little drawstring, tell all that energy you've cultivated to stay in the body. Inhale, earth and heaven flow in and down. You're smoothing everything down. And then tying the drawstring, sealing in all the benefits. One more set. Inhale and exhale and seal. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope it has benefited you greatly. And we will see you next time.